Hey, what's up, folks? What's up? We're right back at it again with another another video review. Wow. Hope you all are having a good time tonight. We're gonna review the hell out of this. We're gonna view the hell out of this set. The Petals Wilt. I like the aesthetic so far from what I'm seeing. It looks like we're bringing back Foretell, Arise, which lets you exile it from your graveyard, make a token. So oh my god, I forgot what it's. Embalm, but not really. Yeah, kind of embalm. Siphon, which is -1/-1 counter, dredge, essentially. Um, Oaths. So, Oath Aura to fulfill it. Fulfill it by dealing combat damage to a player. Target creature seeks secrets, seeks valor. So secrets or valor. Oh. Create a 2/1 soldier token. Interesting. Yeah, well, I like oaths. Oaths seem interesting. Not sure how I feel about Siphon. Siphon really feels like it's... You really want to be able to use those -1/-1 counters. Otherwise, to me, it just feels like Siphon is slowing the game down so that you can do some stuff earlier. But, you know, it is what it is. And Arise is fine. It's we've done Arise before, and then Foretell is a returning mechanics. A returning mechanics, or words. Anyways, let's get into it. Images. Here we go. A queen's duty. Choose one. Destroy each. Oh, we should go. We're gonna go. We're gonna go rarity. We'll start with the commons. You can skip ahead if you don't care about the commons. You should care about the commons, but if I can't stop you if you don't, and that's the truth. Whenever another creature enters, you gain a life. Okay, 3/1 Soul Sister. That's not going to see any play, but it's fine. It's cool for limited. 2/2 Vigilance. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, surveil 1. When Abler Frontliners, that's fine. Abler Frontliners gets +1/+0 and has indestructible as long as another knight or soldier control entered this turn. Okay, so fine. Exile target artifact or creature for 5 mana. Playing it very safe with the commons so far. Emery's Breeze Seeker is fine. Fortune's Mark, enter Surveil, gets lifelink +2/+2. Owl Keeper, when it enters, make a 1/1, exile it, and from your graveyard, make a 1/1 bird. So really safe with the commons. This is very much underpowered. Destroy target enchantment or zombie. Seems very specific at sorcery speed. Very slow. Kind of unexciting, honestly, some of these comments. I'm not going to lie. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield if its mana value is 3 or less, or this spell was foretold. Now we're getting somewhere. Now this is a white unearth, which is fun. And that can also be a reanimate. I like Hour of Greatest Need. I don't think it's broken by any means, but you know, a deck might want 8 unearths, and if you're in black-white, you can do that. Lekron Paladin. When it enters, if you gained or lost life this turn, it seeks valor. Okay. Lifelink. When it enters, you put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. I mean, that's pretty good, but for a limited at the very least, having 3 life gain swing is strong. It's very interesting. You can put it on like a wall you don't like or something. It's not going to see a constructed play, I don't think. Protector of Grandcaster. Enters in the exile target non-creature you control. Then recur that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Okay. That's cool. So slow flicker with a rise. Yeah, I can ball with that. Maybe it'll see some play. Being able to flicker stuff. Oh, because this is Flicker Wisp Plus, but it doesn't have flying. Rouse the Small Folk. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Citizens and pendants you control gain pendant peasants Get first strike. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a very white trumpet blast. Maybe it's something with Foretell? I don't think so. I think it's just a trumpet blast, and it's fine. Scion Sentence. When it enters, exile target creature or planeswalker until it leaves the battlefield. And you can foretell it. Maybe that's something. Having a 2-mana O-Ring seems cool, but I doubt it. Skysworn Companion. When it enters, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Pretty good limited card. Not much to say here, though. 1 mana, 1/1. You can put a -1/- counter on a creature you control to tap target creature. Maybe that's good. That seems pretty strong. I mean, it does. You're trading still tempo, but you can tap itself to tap someone else down. It's something. I don't know. I mean, as far as tappers go, it's pretty cool. Flash Flying. When it enters, you gain 3 life. Okay, this is actually something. This is relatively easy flickerable. It's easy to hold up. You can get in some chip damage. Maybe this is something. It looks cool. Vel's Intervention, Siphon. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains indestructible until end of turn. So this is potentially a 1 mana protection spell, which is cool. But, yeah. I mean, this is like a combat trick. You can put it on the thing that you're targeting. You can put it on something else. It's fine. Probably. Yeah, it's probably fine. Okay, we're in blue already. Flash, when it enters, surveil 1, then draw a card for 4 mana is fine. It can't be blocked. You can sacrifice it to tap target creature and put a stun counter on it. This may be something. It's not really relevant creature type though, so I don't think so. But still, 1 mana, 1/1 can't be blocked is something. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 4 with Siphon. I mean, technically it's a 1 mana counter spell, but I mean, you're not. You have to have 3 toughness. So, I don't know. Maybe you play a big wall just to siphon stuff. I mean, that seems good with this. You draw 3 cards for 2 mana. Anyways, Frontline Familiar. You can spend this mana only to cast spells or activate abilities during an opponent's turn. Yeah. And it's got high toughness, so you can siphon stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is cool. I think it could be interesting. Siphon is definitely interesting. But I think I much prefer... I think if... Siphon is a thing, it's its own deck. You have to, like, sort of build around it and, like, put big creatures in the deck in order to, you know, justify doing this. Yeah. Yeah, but like theoretically, you just go like 1 mana walls or stuff like that, and you just kind of build up a bunch of toughness and then put counters on stuff. I don't know. I feel like maybe it's something. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Plunderer. When pirates rogues get buffed, whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, tap target creature. That could be something. I don't think it's not anything in. I mean. It is kind of crazy to see it common. Anthem type effects is pretty strong. But yeah. Melon's Tactics. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner hand if you control a creature with flying surveil 2. Okay. Maybe a thing in the Flyers deck, but I doubt it. When it enters, draw a card. Sure. I mean, it's 2 mana, 1/1 ETB draw. That's fine. That's good. I think a blue Wall of Omens would have been great in this set. But maybe there's like a balance reason they don't. But I feel like you love that here because it draws a card and you get like a bunch of toughness. When it enters, surveil 2. Okay. Can't be blocked as long as it has a -1/-1 counter on it. Interesting. So you want that counter on there. Surveilling 2 is good, cool too. Relentless Drift Picker. When Relentless Drift Picker enters, create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying. Fine. Limited. Sentriza, Saltbeard, Defender. Can attack as though it didn't have Defender as long as a pirate or rogue entered under your control and or you cast a non-creature spell this turn. Fine. Very blue. Not going to see play. 3/4 Zombie Drake. When it enters, put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. I mean, this could be something. That's like a lot of stats in blue. Probably not, though. I don't know. I feel like you just play like Enigma Drake, where it's 6 billion other versions, and you're probably happier with that. I mean, but it is big. That is true. Exile target creature you control, return it to the battlefield, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Okay. And then you draw a card. Sure, this is fun. Flicker, draw a card. Fuck with that. Smuggler's Requisition. Target non-land permanent's owner puts it on top, or at the top or bottom of their owner's library. Pretty strong at common, but it's 4 mana. It's expected. Sorrow of this. Enchant creature. When it enters, you may put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. If you do, tap enchanted creature. Okay, and then enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So it's a 2-mana paranoia that you have to put neg counters on your creatures. Unfortunate. Tidecrest Surger. When it enters, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Okay, and it gets +2, -2 until end of turn. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Counter target spell if it is mana value 2 or less, or if this spell was foretold. That's something. Not being able to foretell. Yeah. Foretelling at instant speed, but only on your turn. Weird, because I don't think you like this. This card feels interesting and a little bit odd to me, but it makes sense. Draw a card if the spell was foretold. Surveil 2, then draw 2 cards instead. Wow. Okay, sure. Instant speed, not bad. Battlemord's Thirst. Siphon. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Okay. Seems reasonable. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then, if you control a creature with toughness 4 or greater, create a 1/1 black bat. Fine. Depraved Dreadlord. Whenever it attacks, if you gained or lost life this turn, it gains flying until end of turn. When it dies, make it 2/2. Okay. Dread Moon Disciple. Whenever it enters, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card and lose a life. And it has a rise. Maybe that's something in like an Aristocrats deck, but I don't know. It seems cool. You're going just like 1-for-1, but theoretically you can like sack a token. But yeah, I mean, yeah. It lets you transfer resources into another, and then it has a rise, which is based. Whenever you put one or more -1/-1 counters on one or more creatures, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Whenever you put one or more. Okay. Yeah, if you want to do -1/-1 counters the deck, that's for you. Target player draws up to 2 cards and loses 2 life. Up to 1 target creature seeks a valor. Create an Oath Aura for it. Fulfill it by dealing combat damage to a player to create a 2/1 soldier token. Okay, that's fine. Hollow Mind Dirge. Whenever another knight or soldier you control enters, target player loses 1 life. About normal. Until end of turn, target creature gets +3/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Yippee, more scam. This is fine. It's 2 mana. Although it is reasonable to be able to foretell this at 2 in the normal scam deck. Sacrifice another creature, surveil 1 for a 2 mana 2/2. That's so chill. That's so fine. Moment of Mourning. Target player reveals their hand. You choose another card from it. That player discards that card if it has mana value 2 or less, or if this spell was foretold. This card is questionable. A little bit sus even. I don't know. Not in love with this card. I mean, it's fine. It's a Inquisition of Kozilek, but like worse. So maybe it's something. I don't know. More Witch's Brew. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Excuse me. Surveil 2, then draw a card. Create a treasure token and a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. Okay, interesting. Not going to see any play. Oathsworn Bloodsire, when it enters, it seeks secrets. Fulfill it by attacking with it and 2 or more other creatures to draw a card. Seek secrets. Ooh, 5 mana. It's not going to do anything. When it dies, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That seems about normal. Being a 2/1 is cool too. Rancid Plague Herald. When Rancid, I mean, so far I'm loving the aesthetic. The aesthetic seems relatively consistent. You know, knights, vampires, very, very grim high fantasy. We fuck with that. I forget what you call a setting like Innistrad, but I guess dark fantasy? Yeah, dark fantasy. Enters for each kind of counter on target permanent. Put another counter of that kind on it or remove 1 from it. Proliferate. Lovely. But works both ways. Skullbark Defiler. When it enters, put a creature you control. It's a big guy. Well, when it enters, each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. For 2 mana, that seems fine. For 3 mana, excuse me. It has a rise. When it enters, make a bat. Okay. Put 2 -1/-1 counters on target creature. I mean, that's fine. Warren's Hunger. Brimstone Charger. 3/2. Sack a creature. Target creature. Fine. Creature you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. I feel like I've seen this already. Brought Together is the same as Rouse the Small Folk. I guess it's different creature types. Hey, I mean, it feels like it's kind of a cycle, but not really. Burning Visions. Okay, this is Oros. This is probably going to need to be a new art if I had to guess. But Siphon. Discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards +1. You can siphon for it. I would be surprised if this saw a play, just because you have to like kill one of your own creatures to discard a card and draw 2 cards. Go card neutral. By Blood and Fire. When By Blood and Fire deals 3 damage to any target, up to 1 target creature seeks Valor. Okay. Calamitous Flames. Calamitous Flames deals 6 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Okay. And Foretell 2. I mean, this feels fine. Yeah, it doesn't hit face, so it's fine. Celestine's a quarter. Haste. When it attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Sure. 3 mana. Not important. It deals 2 damage to any target. If that creature or planeswalker dealt damage, they would die this turn. Exile it instead. Alright, I mean, it's Lava Spike. It's chill. 1 mana, 1/1 haste. It can't. Excuse me. It can't block, and you can return it to your hand. I don't know how. I mean, that's red, I guess. It's fine. When Deepstone Trader enters, you may sack a creature. If you do, create a 4/4 with Menace. I mean, it's 4 mana. It's fine. It's not going to do anything, probably. When it enters, create a weapon token, which is something we haven't seen before. And attach it to a target creature you control. Weapon equips for 2 and gives +1/+1. Arises is so fine. When 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, Element Foreman deals 1 damage to each opponent. Uh, this is interesting. Yeah, this is certainly interesting. Excuse. Grade 2 Red Pirates, Surveil 1. That's fine at sorcery speed. 2-1 Haste with a Rise. This is actually a pretty solid card. Mostly for limited, but it's still good. Target creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If it's a pirate or rogue, gains first strike until end of turn. Still bad. Not really constructed playable. When it dies, make a 1/1 red dwarf creature token for a 5/2 with reach. Seems reasonable. Smear Melt. Choose one or both. Exile target artifact. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Excuse me. If you cast another creature spell, it gets bigger. Okay. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Then if this spell wasn't foretold, discard a card. Interesting. And then you exile it. Sure. That's fine. Acolyte of the Rose Order. Untap target land. Acolyte of the Rose Order gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Alliance's Aid. Exile target artifact. Exile target creature with flying. Exile target card in the graveyard. But what does this town have against people who fly? My goodness. It's kind of fucked up. Okay, big body, put a counter on a creature, it's fine. Karakran Survivalists. When it enters, you gain life equal to the greatest toughness among other creatures you control. I mean, okay, so, excuse me, normal. Fights, well, it doesn't fight, but bites, I guess. When it enters, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand if you do make a treasure token. Okay, that's normal. Siphon. Search your library for 2 forest cards. Reveal those cards. Put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand. I mean, this is why you run this card. Because this card's crazy. You go turn 1. Excuse me. Go turn 1, wall. Turn 2, 1 mana for this, and like another mana dork or what's it called? Primal Resurgence. And it goes so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you untap on 3 and you have 6 mana available, if I'm correct. And this assuming your wall isn't a creature, but or a thing that can make mana. I didn't mean to open my Discord. Leaks DM'd. My bad, guys. Instigator. What was I looking for? Power greater than 2. Power greater than 2. Mana it would be toughness. Toughness. Value 1. Okay, no. So you could go Accord Devoted, probably not. Bashful Drake, maybe. This, because you can maybe get something later, but probably not. Crop Warden, probably not. Let's see here. I mean, this one's not anything. That one's not anything. Maybe, probably not. Need to get these Revelations damn out of here. I just search your library for a basic link curve, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. Maybe this is something, if you're like a hyper ramp deck, you can scry 2. You can turn into an angel later if you want to. I mean, this is good. Just like a reasonable card. Okay, no, not that. No. Maybe this thing? No. No. I'm trying to find, like, good dies triggers. No. No. Maybe something like this. You're a little mill. Create. Target player. Create. Target player mills workers. I mean, that's also you get another thing. I mean, wait, hold on. You go Miraged Wall of Fog, and then you do this turn 1. That seems pretty fucked up. You can make a Vile token with Wall of Ivy. That seems pretty good. Yeah. Okay, let's see if anyone else is here. Yeah. So that seems to be the most broken one is Mirage that wall, sack it, do this on turn 1, untap for 4. Not cool. This card needs to be 2 green minimum, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, this is one card that just sticks out to me as potentially broken. Which is funny because there's a lot of those cards in like lower rarities where you wouldn't expect them. Just because this is not necessarily super easy to do in limited, but yeah. Whenever Joyous Reveler attacks, if you control 3 or more other creatures, it gets +1 or +2/+1 until end of turn. Okay, reasonable. Mill 3 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the mill cards into your hand. If the spell is foretold, you gain 4 life. Seems weak. Levy Bowman. 2/2. Reach. It deals 4 damage to target creature with a flying. Seems normal. Fine, even. Trample. 5/4. Seeks Valor. Sure. Flash. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, if it's a citizen, make a peasant. Okay. Run Fora's Resistance. Okay. It is a bad giant. It's a bad giant growth unless you foretell it, and then it gets real big. Maybe something with like double strike stuff, but probably not. Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's a fun thing to think about, but I mean, you're better off casting 2 giant growths instead. Scion of Korkan. When it enters, you may put a -1 counter on a creature you control. If you do look at the top 5 cards of your library, you reveal a land card from among them and put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom. So very fine and average, and that's good. That's how a lot of common should be. You should be designing cards for limited, and not have every common be like super playable. When it can be blocked by creatures with power less than the number of creatures you control. Okay. Create a 1/1 peasant. Okay, that's cute. It's fine and limited. Strong Arm Militia. When it attacks, up to 2 citizens or peasants get big. Surface Envoy. As long as you control another dwarf, elf, Surface Envoy has, when this dies, draw a card. Okay. 3/1. Whenever it enters, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains vigilance till end of turn. Remove a counter from that creature. This is a lot for 2 mana, but yeah, I mean, this is good. This is cute. Cat Elk Plant. Oh, it's perfect. Avant welcome! As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard 2 cards. Target player draws 2 cards. Return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Okay, I mean that's fine. You discard 2 cards and then draw 2 and then bounce something. So it's Faithless Looting plus Unsummon, but bad Faithless Looting. First strike. Search your library for a basic land card, then put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. You can sack it to do that. Interesting that it is a 1/1 with first strike. And then when you want to trump it, you just... Yeah, I mean, this is just built to chump. It's fine. Maybe even good. Because it's a 2-mana value creature that ramps, and then you can unearth it. I mean, that's the best way to do it, is you unearth this at low mana value. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its toughness to another target creature. Okay, sure. Bloodbriar, Bat Rider. I don't know why I rolled my R's. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature with 1 or more counters on it. Flying Vigilance, that'll be anything. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Okay, I mean, this is a commander card, but it's fine. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If you do, target pirate or rogue gains flying until end of turn. Sure. It's 2/4 for 4 mana. A bit big. Whenever it enters or leaves the battlefield, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Okay. Like, weird aristocrat-y. Well, this is I want to bounce a creature to my hand deck, which is cool. That's a cool limited archetype. Siphon, make an XX green and blue Dryad creature token with Ward X. Yeah. Siphon does scare me, but I think this is fine. Fading Words. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You gain 3 life. Okay. Yeah, that's chill. Surveil 1, Crew 2. Okay, I like that. Whenever one or more cards leaves your graveyard, you may have it become an artifact creature until end of turn. Interesting. Archetype card seems like. Whenever it attacks, you may tap another dwarf or elf you control. Oh, they're friends. If you do, create a treasure token. Yum. I mean, it's sure, it's fine. Double strike. Whenever it enters, mill 4 cards. Put a creature card with power 2 or less from among the milled card this way into your hand. Okay. I mean, that's a reasonable, like, pop or flicker target. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. Harrier Corpse. Flash flying when it attacks other creatures you control with flying, get +1/+0 until end of turn. I mean, it's a creature with flash and an attacks trigger, but it's cool. Look at the top X cards of your library. X is 2 plus the number of creatures you control. Exile up to 2 of them, then put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. You may play both the exiled card until the end of your next turn. 2 is... Then put the rest on the bottom in a... So, okay. This is a really good impulse. Yeah, okay, this is... Invasion of Loshk is a little pushed. Pretty crazy. Kahara's Prototype enters, put 2 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control. When it dies, put a -1/-1 counter up to 1 target creature for each -1/-1 counter on it. Okay, so it kills something when it dies? Probably something small most of the time. That's cool. Marito's Bane. When it enters, put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. Whenever you put one or more -1/-1 counters on a creature you control, surveil 2. Okay. When it dies, target creatures you control seek secrets or valor. Sure. Target attacking or blocking creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. That creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn if you control a knight or soldier. Does white get this? I don't think it really matters. It's fine. It's not going to see play outside of limited, I don't think. Provisions Hauler. When Provisions Hauler enters, create 2 1/1 white peasant creature tokens. When Provision Haulers attacks, you may pay 1 green/white. When you do, citizens and peasants get +1/+1 until end of turn. Sure. I mean, you make a bunch of bodies for 4 mana. It's pretty cool. Song of the Red Thirst. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. It gains lifelink and haste. Ooh, pretty spicy for a treason. Flavor of Petals. When it enters, draw a card. Sack it. Target creature seeks valor. Sure. Forsaken Monument. When it enters, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. You can sack it to exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. And then you make it 2/2. Sure. 1 mana, 1/1 flash. Sacrifices Necrosis Vials. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Removal. 3 mana, 2/2. When it enters, make a treasure. So a 2 mana, 2/2. Really? Think about it. Rose Quartz Sentinel. Flash. You know, interesting. You get a lot of flash artifacts here. Exile it from your graveyard. Draw a card. Okay, I like that. You throw it in front of someone. It blocks. It maybe trades. And then you get a 3 mana card draw later. As Strassman enters, choose a creature type. Is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Okay. I mean, I don't know how much this feels like a common, but it's fine. It's pretty cool. Oh, okay. So this set is broken because it has Evolving Wilds. Most broken card in Magic's history. Literally unprintable. How dare you? Even though this set is unprintable now because of Evolving Wilds, we're going to look at uncommons, do our due diligence, SMH. Create a 1/1 white peasant creature token. If you control a citizen or a peasant, then Byron's Reprisal deals damage to the number of creatures you control up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. So make a 1/1 and then yeah, okay, group attack, whatever it's called. First strike, whenever a card leaves your graveyard, pay that. If you do it, you lose 2 damage to any target. It's a 2/5. It's bad for constructed, but it's cool. Flash Flying Spirit, you can sack it to counter target non-creature spell unless a controller pays 2. Maybe this is something in Spirits, if that's a deck, but maybe not. I don't think so. I think this is fine. Frantic Harvester's power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control, and you can arise it from your grave. That seems fine. It's just a lot of power and toughness if you have a lot of creatures. Seems like it could be something. Probably won't be anything, but maybe it could be. And if it is something, it's just very easily answerable. It's just a big it's a big block of stats, which is, fine. 4/3 flying. When it enters, return target creature card. Lambo. I swear I heard my dog. He's not supposed to be upstairs. When it enters, return a target creature card with flying. That's me breathing. I'm being psychotic. When it enters, return target creature card with flying from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, weird that I can hear myself breathing. Oh, that's someone downstairs. That's not me. Whatever. I'm freaking the hell out. Yeah. Herald of Clear Skies. Seems like an insane limited card, but it's very cool. Very normal. Whenever it enters, you may look at target opponent's hand. You may exile an online card from it. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell costs 2 more to... Okay. Oh, having a rise is kind of scary, but... Yeah, I mean, this is the guy, the 3/1 flyer, but with a rise, but not flying. This can be something, I think. I think this is potentially powerful. Lelkran Ambassador. When you attack with 2 or more knights and or soldiers, you may have one of them seek valor. It's so fine. That's so okay. Exile target card from your graveyard if momentary was foretold. Make a 1/1 white soldier creature token. So exile card from your graveyard, cantrip. If you have the mana to spend on a foretell, you get a little guy. That's cool. Monara Pale Rider. Whenever you attack, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature. Oh. Well, it's not multiple instances of life gain like other cards we've seen like this. But, I mean, it's cool. Put a -1/-1 counter on target tapped creature. This ability costs 1 less to cast, or 1 less to activate for each life you gain this turn. Pretty good. You can just go, I swing with 5 creatures, and then I will activate this and remove all of your blockers. Actually, that's kind of scary, but it's 4 mana. It'll be fine. Pale Mercies Siphon. When Pale Mercies enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Pale Mercies leaves the battlefield. Potential 1 mana O-Ring, but it's fine, probably. Thane Wraith. When 1 or more cards leave your graveyard with this, put a soul counter on it. It gets +1/+1 for each. I mean, why don't you just put a 1/1 counter on it? Why are we putting soul counters on it? Yeah, why don't we just put +1/+1 counters on it instead of soul counters? These soul counters give it +1/+1. Oh, are you doing it intentionally so that you... I don't like it if you're doing it intentionally so that you can get benefits from having siphon and counters. It seems kind of dumb. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. It gains indestructible and tap it. This thing is potentially scary. Grows real fast. And it can protect itself for 2 mana. But this, I mean, it's probably fine. Hexproof, indestructible, seek secrets. Okay. I mean, this will be playable. It's a blossoming defense with potential upside. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. As Moon's Contemplation. When it enters, is flash, or you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. Okay, that's cool. Bilge Crab. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target player mills 2 cards. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, another mill crab. This card's actually pretty good, especially in the modern version of like mill decks with the 1 mana enchantment from Beyond the Black Wall. This is potentially good. Chillbone Lich. Lich is at uncommon. What is this? When it enters, put 2 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control. Whenever you put a 1 or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, tap target creature and opponent controls. Put a stun counter on it. Okay, so this enters, weakens when it... I mean, this card's kind of weak, but it's fine. Compromised Sorcerer. You may have Compromised Sorcerer enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has a -1/-1 counter on it. Okay. Dewdrop Marshal. Flying Vigilance. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Dewdrop Marshal gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Heck yeah. It's pretty cool with like the limited stuff, but it's fine. This enters with a flying counter on it. You can move a counter from Griffin Hatchlings to search your library for a creature with flying, reveal it. Okay, this is a play on Griffin County, but it is a flyer itself. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean you get your owl, whatever it's called. You get that guy, and it's fine. Illicit spell weaver. Illicit. When it enters, look at the top 6 cards of your library and reveal an instant or sorcery card with and an instant or card with flash from among them and put it into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Okay, so you look at the top cards, you find maybe another one of these, or like a counter spell or something. I mean, this is a really good card to like flicker if you're playing like a tempo flicker, tempo pile. Seems really good in like a Mabel deck, maybe. Yeah, I like this card. This card is actually pretty sick. Mariatu, the straight drowned. Thank God it's not straight, but straight, like Dire Straits. Not. Ignore my dumb humor. It's a 1/2. You can draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard an instant sorcery or pirate rogue card this way, create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token with this creature can't block. Arrgh. This is so fine. It's okay. It's whatever. Overwhelming March. You can siphon to steal someone. I'm going to steal your dog and then siphon it into drawing 2 cards. Siphon 6 is no easy task, though, so good luck, I suppose. Phase Walker Rake. Return an unblocked attacking creature you control to its owner's hand. Put Phase Walker Rake from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay, so this is ninjutsu. Gotcha. But you draw a card if you return a pirate. Cool. Enchant a creature you control. Very cool. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, draw a card and you lose 1 life. Sure, I guess that's blue. You can sacrifice it and sack a creature. You turn it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, that's pretty cool. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller plays 1. If there are 4 or more counters among creatures you control, counter that spell instead. I don't think we need more stifles in the format, respectfully. This one's like a very inoffensive one, though. So, whatever. Bleakfell Mauler. Okay. This spell cost... oh, my goodness. Stop yawning, you bastard. Costs 1 less to cast for each card in your graveyard. This ability costs 1 less to cast for each other card in your graveyard. Sure. For each card in your graveyard? I mean, it ain't that hard to mill 7 or mill 9. Potentially scary. But just each card in your graveyard? I mean, I think it's pretty comically easy to mill that many cards. But what do I know? When it enters, put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature you control. -1/-1. My bad. Target creature with a counter on it gains Death Touch until end of turn. Oh. Oh my goodness. Lifelink. You may exile it from your graveyard. Target knight or soldier seeks secrets. Okay, that's fine. Glimpse your fate. Search your library for a card and reveal it if it has mana value X or less. And this spell was foretold. Cast it without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, so notably, you can play just black to tutor normally, but you can also just like pay 6, play a 4-drop for free. Potentially a way to get villainy, but we already have like Thin the Veil or whatever it's called. Heedless Questant. This does secrets, and it's fine. It's not playable outside of limited. Menace. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained or lost life this turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to one target creature. Oh, it could be any creature. Your opponent's even. For a 3/1 with Menace. Okay, sure. Midden Heap Uprising. Siphon. You gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. I mean, you know. You do this after maybe a board wipe? I don't know. This seems interesting. It seems fine. Put a -1/-1. Put X -1/-1 counters on target creature. I mean, what you do with Midden Uprising is you just do all the trades and then draw a bajillion cards. Put -1/-1 counters on the up one target creature and then exile a creature card from or target card from a graveyard. Seems about normal. Rebellious Ratkin. Rebellious Ratkin gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Ooh. Wait. That's kind of scary. That's a 3-mana Lord of Extinction. For each creature card in your graveyard? Sacrifice another card for creature control. I mean, it's a big ball of stats, but you're gonna get really big with this really quickly if you just build the right deck. It's just like, oh, 3-mana, I don't know, 7/6. Even 7/6 is pretty small because it keeps growing too. Potentially scary. The Usurper's Dark Rebirth. Siphon. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Each opponent loses 3 life. Each opponent loses 3 life? I mean, this is potentially a 3-mana... Excuse me. Potentially a 1-mana reanimate. You just play like 2 guys that are like mill 3, mill 5, and then you play this and then bring back a big freaking guy. Weo Run, the Flesh Carver. Menace. When it enters or attacks, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, draw a card. If that creature had toughness 4 or greater, you gain 4 life. Sure. Whatever. Fine. 4-mana guy. Whiffier's Courtier. When it dies, you may exile target card from a graveyard. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana value. But, you know, it's 5 mana. So, probably not going to do anything. When it enters, put 2 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control. Okay. You can sacrifice another creature to add colorless and a red. Spend this amount of weight to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creature cards in your graveyard. I think this seems fine. It seems like maybe something. 2-mana dork is good in red. But it only does stuff from graveyards. There's probably not anything. 2-mana 2/2 haste. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you attack with a rogue or pirate this turn. Okay, this card kind of goes hard. I will say, this aesthetic feels very like, not necessarily clashing, but I get like the Ratkin are a species here. I think you're doing a good job, generally speaking, of keeping the aesthetic consistent, where it's like this dark fantasy. But I don't know. This art kind of seems out of place. I like this art. Don't get me wrong. It's very cool, but it's also like a little out of place. Bloodvenge Slayer. When it enters, exile any number of non-creature, non-land cards from your graveyard. When you do, it gets +1/+0 for each card exiled this way until end of turn. Exile any number of non-creature, non-land cards from your graveyard. When you do... Non-creature, non-land cards. So this is potentially very scary. This seems like a finisher and burn. You go burn spell, burn spell, burn spell, burn spell, burn spell. You got like 3 burn spells in your grave. You slam this down. It's a 4/2. Yeah, that's pretty scary. And you're gonna rise it. Arise, my son, arise, and you shall be healed. Celestine's regret. Oh no, not Celestine. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your turn. Until the end of your next turn, you may play one of those cards, or both if this spell was foretold. Seems about right. Corpse Feaster Zwerg. When Corpse Feaster Zwerg enters, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw X cards and add X red mana, where X is the number of different sources that dealt damage to an opponent this turn. Oh. This is potentially pretty good in red. I mean, it's 5 mana. But, you know, it's maybe like a pot combo thing. Probably not. I mean, it's something. Menace. When a card leaves your graveyard, you may exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of your next turn. So we can Tripping Boar. Cool. We love to see it. Fortune's Fusillade. My bad. Fortune's Fusillade deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of targets where X is the number of pirates and rogues you control, plus the number of instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. Any number of cards. You can go to face with this. I'll have 3 pirates and 12 things in my graveyard. Take 15. It's probably not that big of a deal. It's a 6 mana sorcery. But, you know, this can just win the game in a lot of... This card goes hard in Commander. If you're playing like a Pirates deck, or even just like a Spellslinger deck, you're just like 6 mana. I have 12 things in my graveyard. I'm going to spend 6 mana and get rid of like my 5 least favorite things on the board. It's pretty good. Siphon. It deals 1... Okay, we don't need... we don't need another Lightning Bolt. We don't need another Lightning Bolt. I don't think we need another Scorch. This is a Lightning Bolt because it deals 3 damage. It's instant speed. And you can just hold this one to be your last, and it's still 1 mana. Don't print this card. I wouldn't print this card. Siphon, a lot of these Siphon cards are scaring me, but for the most part, the power level seems to be reasonable. It's just a few obvious cards. When it enters, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token that seeks secrets. Give it okay, sure. Reasonable power level. It is what it is. Trample. When you attack, target creature gains first strike until end of turn. If you control a dwarf and an elf, that creature gains double strike instead. I mean, it's a 4 mana creature. Maybe? Probably not. Reach. When it attacks, target creature with power less than or equal to the number of creatures you control can't block this turn. Attacking creatures get buffed. Sure. Vengeful Alchemist. Whenever another creature you control dies, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Okay. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 2 in a red and sacrifice another creature. If you do, it gains menace. And so it's fine. It's so cool. When one target creature gets +1/+1 gains trample until end of turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target blocking or blocked creatures. Okay, you trample over that damage, so I guess it's fine. Bleakfell Escort. When it enters, make a peasant. Tap target creature with power X or less, where X is the number of creatures you control. Okay, it's fine. Korkana's Herald. Has trample as long as there are 4 or more -1/-1 counters among creatures. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Very interesting. Daring Sortie. Create a 1/1 red dwarf creature token and a 1/1 green elf creature token. If this spell was foretold, dwarves and elves you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. Sure. I mean, That is a sorcery speed raise the alarm, so it's fine. When Elisa Witness enters, you may return target permanent card in your graveyard to your hand. If you don't, you seek secrets. Okay. 4 mana. It's doing what it does. It does kind of feel like a common, I'm not going to lie. Look crazy as an uncommon. 2 mana, 2/2 reach. Sacrifice it to your library for a land card. Reveal it, put into your hand. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 7 or more lands, return from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. Alright, get it. I kind of mess with that. That's fun. That's a fun commander. And from the treetops. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to up to 2 other target creatures. Okay, instant. And you make a 5/5. That's pretty good at instant speed. You get a double fight or double bite. That's much better. Beginning of your end step, for each permanent with exactly 1 counter on it. I mean, 6 mana, so it's whatever. I mean, it's good in Commander. It's a certified Commander banger. Beginning of your end step, for each permanent with exactly 1 counter on it, you may choose 1. Remove all counters from that permanent. Choose a kind of counter on that permanent. Put another kind on that permanent. So, with exactly 1 counter on it. Okay. Siphon. Creatures you control get plus... Well, I mean, you just 8/5 power to do this for 2 mana. But yeah, I'm really not fucking with Siphon. Because it feels like you're trying to do the thing. The Siphon thing is... you don't need to do another play on Dredge. Especially a play on Dredge that makes you use your power as a resource. Because that just leads to games that last forever. But I guess this card ends games. But also, you have to have a very weird setup for it to do that. Where, I mean, this thing's going to give +3, +2. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this card. I don't think I like it, though. And if the thing is, this card is either not played and bad or feels really unfair. Like, you just have a bunch of 1/1s and you put, like, even just like 4 counters on like a wall or something, and then suddenly your opponent's swinging for 16 trample. It's just not fun. And I don't really like this card. Lovingly, I guess. Changeling. Okay. That's fun. We have a few changelings. When it enters with 4 counters on it. When another creature you control enters, if that creature has greater power or toughness, remove a counter from it. So this card is going to be broken immediately because anything that's just a 1 mana 5/5 tends to be to get. I mean, I guess we have the Death Shadow, but that's not a good thing to compare this to. I don't know. This is fine. This is just like a hard-capped evolved one, which is still a good card. So this card should be good. And it kind of has a relevant creature type, but I don't think your green players are playing a ton of fairies, so whatever. When Sheltering Gargantuan enters, draw a card, then put a creature you control on top of its owner's library. Okay. Sure. Whatever. That's fine. Stillthorpe Memorialist. When it or another citizen or peasant you control enters, you may exile target card from a graveyard. If you exile a creature card this way, you gain a life. So, kind of a Soul Sister that is graveyard hate, that is a typal thing. Okay, that's fine. I'd play it in some decks where I want like a 2/1 body and to exile stuff from graveyards. It's like a sideboard card, but it's fine. It's whatever. When it enters, put a -1/-1 counter on up to one target creature. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with the greatest toughness among creatures on the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Weird. Not what I thought the green-black archetype was. But, I mean, that's fun in Commander, and this seems pretty strong. Because 3 mana, 1/4, you're probably going to have it at least maybe next upkeep. It might just die. It's fine. Alchemical Warfare. Return up to 2 target instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery card with mana value 2 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So you can go 4 mana, get a 2 mana counter spell. Counter your spell, put this in my hand. That's very good, I think. I think that this is a very strong card that you can do at instant speed. And you can hold up if your opponent's like, well, I passed the turn. And you go, okay. So this draw spell goes into my hand, and this lightning bolt kills your creature. Fun. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, pirates and rogues you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. Oh. Go wide, potentially. Scary. I know there's already a version of this that hits all creatures in Modern and in Pioneer, technically. When Bezerit deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. And if you do, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. That's cool. Wait, Sophia Second. I know her. Bloodstained Crusade. When it enters, seek valor. Whenever you fulfill an oath of a knight or a soldier, create a 1/1 bat. Sure. Board. War Temper Artisan. Discard a card, draw a card. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a weapon token. Attach it to target creature you control. Sure. Okay. Other citizens and peasants you control get +1/+1. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a citizen or peasant from among them. Put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You know, Lord that does Lord things. Dread Moon's Rise. When it enters, make a 1/1 white peasant. You may sack a creature. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. Maybe a little pricey for 2 mana, but I mean, it's fine. It's not going to see any constructive play, I don't think. Abitha, Supplicants of Decay. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. If it had 2 or more counters on it, draw a card. Yeah, so, sorry, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent gets drained 1. If it had 2 or more counters on it, you draw a card. Okay. Put a -1/-1 counter on target creature you control, and target creature an opponent controls activate only as a sorcery. Okay. I mean, that's pretty strong. For Hearth and Home, make 3 1/1s at instant speed, or creatures you control get +1/+2 until end of turn, and you untap them. Yeah, sure. Glenatch. Gossamer Monarch. Flying 6/5 when it enters, put 3 counters on a creature you control. When it leaves, return target non-insect permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. You sure? Sure, that's very loud. Whenever another creature you control enters, Loish deals 1 damage to any target. Okay, sure. We love impact tremors on a guy, and then it gets +1, +6/+6. You can tremble on a turn where X is the number of creatures you control. Classic green, red, go wide. Melon, Skysword, Insect D, Flash Flying. Okay, flying is clearly the archetype. When it enters, exile up to 1 other target non-land permanent with mana value equal to or less than the number of creatures you control, flying until end of turn. This is very good. Very good card. Yeah, super strong card. I kind of love it. I like a lot of these like flying tempo cards, but I'm a little bit selfish. Yeah, flash. When it enters, if you cast it, you may return target spell or non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, create a 1/1 white blue bird creature token with flying. Okay, this is fun. This is fun with, like, what's her name? Marin Polgak. We just do this of again and again. Onboard tricks. And I can just bounce non-land permanents. Well, yeah, that's cool. That's good. And I can hold this up at instant speed. Potentially get a bunch of birds out of it if I want. When perfect partner enters, create your choice of a red one, a dwarf, or a 1/1 perfect partners. So create either an elf or a dwarf. Beginning of combat on your turn, up to one target dwarf and up to one target elf each get +1/+1 and gain first strike until end of turn. Oh, they love each other. Petal Snare. 1 green blue. Choose any number of target non-land permanents, each controlled by different players. So, for each of those permanents, return it to its owner's hand. If you turn the permanent you control this way, make it 3/3. So I'm going to bounce my thing. I'm going to bounce your thing. I'm going to make a plant. Okay, let's chill. Save what you can. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. Okay. When you do, return target non-land permanent with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards discarded this way from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Oh. My goodness. That's something. I don't think it sees a lot of play. It's 4 mana and you can't just get, like, your big tyrant of tributes unless you're discarding 8 cards, which, like, come on, let's be real. The Marrow Lord. When the Marrow Lord enters, search your library for a creature card with a rise. Put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle. Whenever you activate an ability of a creature card in your graveyard, that creature you control enters from a graveyard. The Marrow Lord deals 1 turn. Man, this would go great with my set DRM, because we have a lot of the same archetypes. Vel, the Fellorn Shield. Lifelink 2/2. When it enters, choose up to one other target non-land permanent if you gained or lost life this turn, exile that permanent until she leaves the battlefield. So a 2/2 lifelink. If you gained life, it becomes a Banish your Priest. Sure, that's fun. Probably good in the not a cleric though, so it's maybe not good in the lifelink shells that we have right now, but it seems reasonable. Whenever a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater attacks, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. Whenever you or a creature deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 1 life. If you do, draw a card. Euron's Scheming. Draw 2 cards, then you may discard a card. If you do, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Yeah, yummy. Discard a card. If you do... Yeah, that's cool. Rose Order Pact Blade. When Rose Order Pact Blade enters, target creature you control seeks secrets. Okay. When a creature gets +2/+1, as long as an oath is attached to it and has menace. Okay. Sunlit Waystone. Sunlit Waystone enters, you gain 3 life, surveil 2. Add 1 mana of any color. When it enters, tapped. As it enters, choose a color. Okay. And you can make it seek secrets. Okay. I mean, this land is cool, but I mean, most of these cards have been fine. There have been a few standouts that are like, oh shit, that's really broken. But there are a handful of cards that I'm not like a super big fan with. But again, guys, it's all about voting. So go to the polls. Destroy each non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Destroy each creature with mana value 2 or less. Say fuck you to Affinity. I actually really don't like this card. We've seen something like this with Temporary Lockdown, but that was an enchantment you could theoretically answer and play around. Kind of don't like this just being a sorcery, because blue decks are going to be one of the few ways to answer it. Yeah. Not really a huge fan of A Queen's Duty. Asmon's Final Push. Search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. If this spell was foretold, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Wow. Not playable in Legends, I don't think. Because we have Ass Party, and that kind of does this, but better. Champion of the People. Whenever another creature you control enters, Champion of the People gets +1/+1 until end of turn. The first time each turn a non-token citizen or peasant entering triggers this ability. Create a 1/1 white peasant creature token instead. Wait, whenever another creature you control enters, put a counter on it. Or he gets 1/1 until end of turn. The first time a non-token citizen entering triggers this ability, make a 1/1. So, if you have a peasant, you make a 1/1 and this triggers twice. Cool. Procession of the Pale. When it enters the battlefield or one or more cards leave your graveyard, make a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Okay. So you can make a lot of creatures. Just cut a card, tap a non-land permanent, and put a stun counter on it. It loses all abilities for as long as it remains tapped. Interesting. You gotta do that back to back to back to back to back. Ristia's Deliverance. When it enters, you may discard a card. If you do, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them and put it into your hand, then shuffle. And when effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates that many tokens +1 instead. Okay, that's fun. You play this, find a 3-drop from among the top cards, and now whenever you make tokens, you make more. You make a little more lovely tokens. Flash, Flying. Whenever a Soaring Pride Lord enters, you may cast a spell or you cast a spell during an opponent's turn. You may exile target non-cat permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. So when it enters, you cast a spell during an opponent's turn. So you flicker a non-cat permanent you control, then return that permanent to the battlefield tapped. So I mean, yeah, this fast flickers. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn. That's cool. I really like some of the white blue cards in here. These are like the exact type of cards that I like, where it's like flash, flying, flicker value, stupid Mabel bullshit. So I'm really liking some of these cards. Whenever it enters into your library for a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. That's 4 mana. Probably not playable, but it is playable if you erase it for 3 mana. Hello. What is it called? Ranger Captain of Eos? Pretty decent, especially with Death Shadows in the format. If you erase it. Probably not super good for 4 mana. It's probably okay for 4 mana. Whenever Ashwin Augur enters, if you hear piano, I'm so sorry. I cannot control when my brother has decided to play piano. When Ashwin Augur enters, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. For each permanent, you may give it a counter of a type that it already has there. Then draw a card for each permanent with 3 or more counters on it. Okay, but it's a 2-mana 2/4. So, well, you're putting a -1 money swing counter on a creature you control. I guess that justifies it. Whatever. I'm not going to think too hard about this card. It's fine. Flash, Flying, a 2/2 for 2. You may cast creature spells with flying as though they had flash. Whenever another creature with flying you control enters, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. What? That doesn't seem good with flash. I guess you're blocking with this, but that's cool. Maybe it's he's playing the flying deck. I don't know. Dew Shaper Matriarch, Dryad Druid. Okay, blue Dryad. Interesting. If a... What? Oh, if a non-siphon effect you control would put a counter on a permanent you control, you may put a flying, vigilance, or stun counter on that permanent instead. Okay. For sure. Yeah. That's weird. For sure. Maybe there's a way to break this. I don't know. Guys, we did it. We broke Questing Druid. Whatever it's called. The one that untaps for a -1 counter. Mariatu's Pride costs 1 less to cast if you foretold a card this turn. Oh, wait, Dew Shaper Matriarch goes crazy with it goes crazy with the Death Shadow in the format. I nearly excuse me, I nearly forgot about that. You just go, well, that's actually flying and vigilance counters. Well, I guess you would put 1 flying count or 1 vigilance counter on it. Scary. Mariatu's Pride costs 2 less to cast if you foretold a card this turn. Okay. Okay, so if you foretell, it's 2 mana. When it enters or attacks, draw a card, then exile a card from your hand face down. It becomes foretold. It doesn't have if it doesn't have foretell, you can't cast it later. Oh, of course. Interesting. Mirrored Monstrosity, Siphon. Create a token with a copy of target creature you control. Except it enters with a -1/-1 counter on it. Yeah. Okay. Sure. If you like putting counters on your creatures, I've got good news. Instant speed, kind of crazy. Skyfall. Return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Then if that spell is foretold, you may destroy all creatures. Yep, that's a board wipe for probably Commander exclusively. I mean, it's good. It's a bounce spell, but it's also a, board wipe and it's sorcery speed, and there are better bounce spells, probably, unless you're like a control deck and you need it for a specific answer. Maybe this sees play in, like, the white-blue deck. Maybe I'm just a hater, but I don't know. I don't understand why this says Skyfall, though. I guess it makes sense. Thrashing Kelpie. When it enters, you may return target instant or sorcery card in your... You may return target instant or sorcery card in a graveyard or non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Sure. Whenever Thrashing Kelpie attacks, you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana value. If it, with mana value less than... Wait. Attacks. You may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than its power without paying its mana cost. It's kind of a lot for 5 mana, I won't lie. And it's, again, a flash thing with an attack trigger. That Touch Corpse Caster Mage enters. If you cast it, target creature in your graveyard gains a rise until end of turn. Its rise cost is equal to its mana cost. I made this card, but it had Embalm once, and I made that for, I think, Survivor. But this is cool. I think I literally call it Corpse Caster Mage. Oh, but mine was white, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. This is a cool card, but, like, I think at least a dozen people have come to this same thought process at the same time. Hemic Consummation. Choose X, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast a spell. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Make a bat, surveil 2. This is still good at 3 mana. What are we doing? You pay 3 mana, you get -4/-4. You make a bat, you surveil 2. Or, alternatively, you kill a creature to kill a creature at instant speed. Very good card. You do this at end of turn too. So, yeah, super strong card. Potentially problematic. Yeah, not personally a fan. Maybe it cost 4 mana and had like another bad mode or something that was like draw a card, lose a life. I don't know. It's still very good at 3 mana. Kahara's Price. Exile up to 1 target creature with or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. Then hit the spells for target opponent chooses a creature or planeswalker they control. You gain control of that permanent. Wait. So you just exile up to 1 target creature or plane... Oh. From the battlefield. This is kind of strong in sorcery, but, you just exile from the battlefield. And it has an alternate mode if you want to spend all your money in one place. Pact Whisper Demon. When it enters, a creature seeks secrets. Oh. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, Bad Shieldred. Hello. Not really. I'm being pessimistic. Sanguine Cavalier. 2-1 with Menace. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained or lost life this turn, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. If you don't, you may put it into your graveyard. Okay. Bob, but you have a choice and you have to swing. Okay. Well, hello, Bob. Welcome back. Chevalier. It's Cavalier. Chevalier, actually? I don't know all of the linguistic terms around knights and knighthood. Voracious Dias. Sacrifice a creature, draw a card. If that creature had flying, put a flying counter on a creature you control. The same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, trample, and vigilance. Whitfear, the Night Host. First strike, lifelink, menace. Big guy. Discard Whitfear. Oh, and it discards itself. So, hello, Reanimator decks. Create a tapped 0/1/0/0 skeleton army creature token. For this creature is +1/+1. For each creature card in your graveyard. For each of up to X armies, put your choice of first strike, lifelink, or very good card. I'm just gonna throw this in my grave, reanimate a big boy, and then, you know, potentially late game make a really scary army. Sure. Call of the Dread Moon. Discard your hand, then draw 7 cards for 6 mana. When you do you may cast a card with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost, where X is the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. Okay, funny thought. I draw another Call of the Dread Moon and do it again. Want to see me do it again? You want to see me do it again? I'll do it again. Cinderfeather Phoenix. Flying Haste. Arise from your grave that costs 1 less to cast for each instant or sorcerer card in your graveyard. Kinda goated. If you just pay this for 1 mana. Honestly, I fuck with this card. I'll put it in my Distant Thunder deck. I'll do it. You think I won't, but I'll do it. And that's a reasonable thing to get, is like 4 cards in your graveyard. And then to play this and then Dome Face. I'll do it. I'll put this in my Libertarian Burn deck. Watch me. If this gets in, of course, whenever you attack, you may exile or discard a card. If you do exile the top 2 cards of your library, you may play one of them this turn. Once each turn, when a card leaves your graveyard, you may add colorless red. Why don't you just do red? Why do we do this colorless red thing? Is there something I'm missing where you need colorless mana for something? Seems silly. Yeah, it just kind of seems silly to do this. And I've seen you do it twice on dwarves. Is that just like you're trying to do like, well, dwarves are the colorless and red mana colors? I don't know. I find it weird. Just give me red mana, please. Whenever you attack, you may discard a card. I'm trying to reread this because I forgot. Okay. Man, this is so fine. Flawed Masterpiece. Choose target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. This spell was foretold. You may destroy it. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary and has haste at the beginning of your end step. Sacrifice this permanent. So, we love red flickers. Forced Conscription. Enchant non-land permanent. When Forced Conscription enters or at the beginning of your upkeep, gain control of enchanted permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent if it's a creature, becomes a pirate in addition to its other types, and gains haste until end of turn. Why is this an aura? Or the beginning of your upkeep. Huh. So I swing with it, it attacks, it becomes tapped. You get it back. And you untap it. And you have another blocker, I guess. I don't know. This card's weird. You're trying to do a control magic, like a full control magic, not just a... it's whatever. Hearthfire, Disciple Menace. Whenever another dwarf or elf you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 1 instead. Okay, that's pretty good if you... Oh, I mean, I guess it's just for elves. Actually, this card kind of sucks. 3 mana for a 1/1 is a fine rate, but a 1/3... I guess it's a 2/3 with Menace because it hits your opponent for 2. I don't know. I don't fuck with this card. Maybe it'll be something if Dwarf Elf decks become a thing. Undermine Guardian. Whenever a player casts a non-dwarf spell or plays a non-mountain land card, Undermine Guardian deals 2 damage to that player. Fun. Discard Undermine Guardian. Search your library for a dwarf or mountain card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. This is fun. This is like I think a fine, like, big red card, probably. Maybe it sees play there, but, I mean, being able to land cycle makes it pretty good. Especially in a deck that needs 100 cards. Apex's Prey. If this spell was foretold, target player creates a 4/4 red dragon with flying. Apex Prey deals damage equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. 1 target creature or planeswalker. So this is the 1 mana bite that can be a 4/4 dragon if you spend 2 mana then 4 mana. I mean, that seems really strong, but it's also sorcery speed, so whatever. Korakon's Invocation. Other creatures you control, without counters on them, get +2/+2. Whenever you attack, target... Sorry. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gains trample until end of turn. Yeah, at the beginning of your end step, put 2 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control, or sacrifice Kohan's Invocation. Wait, so creature you control get +2/+2 if they don't have counters on them, but you gotta put counters on them to keep this around. I mean, whatever. It's fine. Alicia, Enduring Root. Whenever another creature you control enters, put your choice of a Vigilance, Trample, or Reach counter on Alicia. Remove a counter from Alicia, add 1 mana of any color. If that mana is spent to cast a creature spell, you may have it enter the battlefield with an additional counter of that kind on it. That's pretty good, and it's a legendary creature, so that's going in the... Oh, ignore the Sirens. That's going in the good old Ass Party deck. Yeah. Friendly Rivalry. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a tally counter on Friendly Rivalry. If it was an elf or a dwarf, put 2 instead. Remove 2 tally counters from Friendly Rivalry, draw a card. That's cute. Probably unplayable, but it's cute. I mean, it's a very fun... it's for sure a fun commander card. Lolsk Khan Quartermaster. When it enters, make a treasure token. Yeah, make a treasure token, and then it gets +1/+1 for each different name among tokens you control. Oh, so you're gonna get big. Okay, that's fun. Oath of the Wild Lords. Search your library for a non-green creature card with mana value X or less, and put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. That creature seeks secrets or value. Just make it green. I don't know why we gotta do X1 green. I know you want to not get a green creature card, so... But, by all means, you do you. Siphon. Draw X cards where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Then you may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield. I don't know how to feel about this. Because yet again, you're doing the thing where you want to have power, and to do that, you subtract power. And I just don't like that playstyle. It seems pretty reductive. And I think siphoning just encourages a lot of dirtling. Not fucking with it, personally. Whenever a farmer's life or a non-token creature enters under your control, create a field land token with sacrifice this land, add 1 mana of any color. Whenever a farmer's life or non-token land enters under your control, create a 1/1 white peasant creature token. Okay, so you make land treasures. So a creature enters, you make a treasure, but it's a land. When a land enters, you make a guy. Cool. Abominable Quarry. Abominable Quarry enters or dies. Each opponent makes a 1/2 green sprout creature token. Discard Abominable a Quarry. Distribute 2 -1/-1 counters among 2 target creatures. Activate only as a sorcery. But it's a big 5/5. Sure. Belmord Collaborator. Flash Lifelink. Okay. When it enters, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 or 3 life. I don't think that sees any play. Punisher effects are kind of bad. This is just a flash 2/1 that... Yeah, making your opponent pay 3 life for a spell, they'll be like, fine, I'll pay 3. I mean, I don't really think it's... Yeah, I mean, it's not even in burn colors, so you're not really making them make a really significant decision. They're just like, okay, I pay 3 life. And I guess you could play like an aggro deck. I don't know. I don't like... This card's cool, but it's probably not going to see much play, I don't think. Bitter Defeat. You may reveal a knight or soldier card from your hand as you cast this spell. If you do, I mean, it's actually kind of annoying to trigger. Your opponent's like, I'll take 3 life. Flicker it. Okay, I'll pay 3 life. Flicker it. Fine. Fine, you counter it. Actually, yeah. I mean, the more I think about this card, the more it might be good. But not like crazy. I think it's just good. Normal good. Bitter Defeat. You may reveal a knight or soldier card from your hand as you cast this spell. If you do, or you control one as you cast it, you may cast it as though it had flash and can be countered. Exile target non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. Wait, so if you have a knight in your hand, you pay 2 mana to exile mana value. Okay, I mean... If knights are a deck, this will be in it for sure, probably. Blow the man down. We're spitting whiskey and letting it on fire. Exile target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So you're flickering in red-blue. When it enters the battlefield, as a creature, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So a flicker burn. That's pretty good. I kind of like that. Yeah, I mean, if you're in Jeskai and you flicker something with this, that's fun. 3/3 flash flying. When it enters, return up to 1 target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it has base power and toughness 1/1. Oh, that's fun. It says it's also flicker. I love all of these flash cards. Oh my goodness. My brain is very, yeah. Carecon Collaborator. Whenever it enters, you may return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Okay. I don't know why I said that so enthusiastically. You get a 3 thing. Mana value 3 thing back. When it attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. If you do, it gets +1/+1 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Okay, sure. Desperate Commander. As long as Desperate Commander isn't a zombie and other knights and soldiers you control... It and other knights and soldiers you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. Otherwise, in other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have menace. Oh, and you can arise it. Hello, Desperate Commander. Dreadmoon Crusader. At the beginning of your end step, mill 2 cards and lose 2 life. Okay. Will do. And you can arise it from your graveyard. This is a... Oh. Oh, yeah, it is a 2-mana 4/4. That's pretty good. Whenever Collaborator attacks, put a geode counter on target land you control. It gains, sack this land, draw a card, and gain 2 life for as long as it has a geode counter on it. Wow, that's bad, I think. I think that's bad. I think that's not a good card. Because you just would not... yeah, it's so much work to gain 2 life and draw a card. Or attacks. I don't know. It's not my thing. Gwynvere's Pathfinder. When Gwynvere's Pathfinder enters, if you cast it, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. If it's a non-land card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Okay, so you can put it onto the battlefield. You can cast it for free if you have lands equal to its mana value. Or you can put it in your hand. Hawk, the Fleeting Host. If you would gain life, gain twice that much life instead. Wow. If you would draw a card except for the first card you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. At the beginning of your end step, untapped up to 2 lands. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is a blue-white enchantment, if I've ever seen one. Harlan Flynn, Blood Brothers. Wow. Wait, Blood Brothers? Dwarf Elf? How? Kidding. This spell costs X as the cast where X is the number of dwarves and elves you control. Oh, they're all friends. Trample Haste. Whenever Harlan Flynn and other creatures you control attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain Trample and Null of turn. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have like 4 elves and this is 4 mana and it does that, this card is good. I mean, if you're just playing elves, this card is good. Very scary, though. Hugh, Usurper's Thorn. Oh, Thorn, like a thorn to the Usurper. It's real annoying to the Usurpers. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn or has their second land enter each turn, create your choice of a 1/1 white peasant creature token or a treasure token. Okay, sure. And whenever Hugh attacks, he may sacrifice another non-land permanent. If you do, other citizen and peasant you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. I'm going to kill this guy. Join me, fellows. Yeah. That's funny. That is how that works. I mean, that seems good. I don't think it's good enough to be in Assemble the Party. But, I mean, it's solid, I guess. Theoretically, if you made peasants a deck, you could use this, and that would be fun. Mist of the Rose Court. Black, green, 3/2. Enters with a cognition counter on it for each land card in your graveyard. Remove any number of cognition counters from Misty. You gain that much life. Remove any number of counters. It deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker. Okay, girly pop with a little bit of removal. That's cool. Lady Kahara, Belmord. Lady Kahara, it's not an epithet. Lady Kahara Belmord, not Lady Kahara Belmord. You know what I mean? Anyways, 2/2 Death Touch. The first instant or sorcery spell with mana value 3 or less you cast each turn has Siphon. Okay, sure. Interesting. I mean, I don't think it does anything significant to spells because you're just discounting like a divination into a 1 mana draw 2. I'm not really worried about it. That seems fine. Ratkin Rampage. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose an artifact, creature, enchantment, planeswalker, or land. Okay. You choose one of those at random. Each player sacrifices a permanent of the chosen type other than... Okay. If no permanents were sacrificed this way, sacrifice Ratkin Rampage and create a 6/6 black-red mat mutant with trample and haste. Okay. So, you don't have a planeswalker. Now I have a 6/6 with trample and haste. For 5 mana, seems like a lot of work for nothing. Raven Roosts. It's not for nothing, but you know what I mean. I don't think it's really worth it. Once on each of your turns, when a creature card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, create a 1/1 blue and black creature token with flying, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it. When you do, draw a card. Okay, whenever 3 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, that player loses 1 life for each card in your hand. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's kind of scary. You can You can hit your opponent in the face for quite a bit if you have a lot of cards in hand. Like, I attack with 3 creatures. Okay, I don't block. Well, you take 5 damage. Seems like a decent enchantment. Could be something. Probably won't be, as I always say. Oh. Rune for a Collaborator haste. When it attacks, destroy up to 1 other target permanent. If you do, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until 2 cards that each share a type with it, with that card, are revealed. And exiles those cards. That player puts the exiled cards on the battlefield and shuffled. Okay, so I pay this for 6 mana. I swing, I kill a 1/1 token. And I go find 2 more of these, I think. It's probably fine. It's good it's attack, not enter, because you could loop these back to back, but... Stantriza Collaborator. Stantriza Collaborator enters. Each player discards a card, then return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Sure, that's cool. Your opponent goes down 1, you go neutral, and get some card selection. When Stantriza Despoilers enters, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Other pirates and rogues you control get +1/+1. Once each turn when you discard a card, you may create a 1/1 red pirate. This is a pretty good Pirate Lord. I don't know if it's good enough at the 3 mana slot where a lot of stuff is, but hey, you know, Ragavan maybe has a home finally. Who am I kidding? Ragavan is always at home. Sky Commander Esmery. 3/2. Flash Flying. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, create a weapon token. When you do, you may attach it to another target creature with flying. Hey, that's pretty good. The stand is 1. Choose 1. If you control 4 or more creatures, you may choose any number instead. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Exile target player's graveyard. Stand is 1. Deals 1 damage to each opponent for each card type among cards exiled this way. Sure. 4 or more creatures. Okay. Target creature you control deals damage equals. So, fight, disenchant, get rid of that graveyard. And I hate the way that this is formatted. The fight should be above the exiling so that it works together. But whatever. This card is cool, but I just wish it was worded. It did it the right order. Whenever Sunheart Greatsword enters or equipped creature attacks, you may discard a card and note its mana value until end of turn. Okay. Equipped creature gets +X/+1, where X is the greatest mana value noted with Sunheart Greatsword. Well, I don't think there's a good reason to go so all in on this card. Unless, actually, no. There is a reason. It's because you're discarding a 15 mana thing. Yeah. Yeah, I discard my 15 mana creature, and I put this on my 1/1 flying hexproof, and I hit you in the face for 15 damage. GG's. Yeah, this is actually has the potential to be a really annoying hammer time card. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta let sometimes you just gotta let cards like that exist because they're fun to try to break. And then if someone does break them, we'll nerf them. It's probably not a great attitude to have. That's how I feel though. So maybe that's why I'm not on council. When it enters, create 2 1/1 dwarf creature tokens. Surveil 2. Okay. A lot of bodies. Card will leave your graveyard. You may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you may put that card into your hand instead of putting it anywhere else. Lovely, lovely, lovely. You don't discard cards. In fact, you keep them. You keep them around as a little pet. Or if a card would leave your graveyard, you may sacrifice another creature. Yeah. Does this work with Madness? If I discard a distant or a fiery temper, and I discard it into exile, so no. Ignore me. Rallying Banners. It enters, choose a creature type, put a muster counter on Rallying Banners. You may put a creature card of the chosen type with mana value equal to the number of muster counted on Rallying Banners from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is a specific Aether Vial. Sure. Well, it's not an Aether Vial, but it's kind of an Aether Vial. You know what I mean? You play it, you go tap, put a counter on it, untap, you probably put a counter on it again, then on your next turn you go 2/2. You're like, whoa! The Quake catcher gets +2/+1 as long as it's your turn and has Death Touch and Lifelink. Okay. Unattach it and then return it to its owner's hand. Return target knight or soldier or creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Tap with a finality counter on it. Okay, that's cool. I don't think it's going to see a ton of play, but it's a fun commander card. That's at the very least for sure. Usurper's Final Rest. Okay. The Usurper's Final Rest enters. Choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name can't be cast. Okay. Nevermore. If a card with the chosen name would enter the battlefield or be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Okay, super Nevermore. Nevermore, if you will. Quarkran, the Forest Heart. Search your library for a basic land card reveal, put it in your hand and shuffle. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control 10 or more lands, you may pay this. And exile it. When you do, you may untap any number of lands you control. They become 3/3 elf creatures, and they dome your opponent for 6 trillion. Not quite, but you may pay 2 life. Target player mills 2 cards. Probably you, maybe your opponent if you're a mill deck. Probably not though. At the beginning of your end step, if your life total is at least 13 less than your starting life total, you may pay this and exile. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Well, I mean that's fine. Maybe the most playable so far. It's more playable than this because 10 lands is a lot. Maybe not with that Siphon card that we saw though. Norwick Defiant Farmstead. You tap for a white, make a peasant for 4. Whenever you attack with 5 or more creatures, you may pay this and exile it. If you do attacking creatures, get +1/+1 until end of turn. That's maybe the most playable card I've seen so far. If you're in a mono white deck and you can afford playing a colorless land, you probably play this and then, you know, just randomly get a bunch of value out of it. Not value, but like maybe win the game. So this thing. Tap. Okay, draw a card. Okay. At the beginning of your end step. If you have 8 or more cards in your hand, you may pay 5 blue and exile the Danwich. Win or lock. When you do, take an extra turn after this one. Okay. I mean, extra turn land, big scary, probably not constructed playable, absolute menace in Commander because it's just like a free include in mono blue decks. Undermine the Seething Forges. Add 1, discard a card, exile the top card of your library. You can play it until end of turn. Okay, that's cool. Being your comment on your turn, if there are 8 or more non-land cards in your graveyard, you may pay 2 red and exile the Undermine. When you do, it deals 5 damage to any target. Okay, this is like, I don't know if this he plays. Burn is so pip intensive, but if you can manage to just like do one of these, potentially, it lets you also dig if you have like 4 lands. And also potentially just is the last little bit of damage that you need, which is good. This is the potential to do something, but it actually has like a real downside. Potentially good. Potentially scary even. But in an interesting, fair way, I think that like Burn can do. We do have mythics. So we're going to go through those real quick. Horseman of Conquest. Oh, we got a Horseman cycle. Yes, please. Other permanents you control have Ward 1. Hell yeah. I mean, that's kind of weak to try that, but maybe this thing is. When it enters or attacks, make a 2/1 white soldier creature token. Exile up to 1 target non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less an opponent controls until that token leaves the battlefield. Sure. This is one hell of a bastard to flicker for sure. The Questant's Beginning. When it enters, create a 2/1 soldier creature token. It seeks valor. Okay. When an enchantment you control enters, draw a card. It's an artifact. Boo! I want an artifact. Well, it does make an enchantment. So you do draw a card. I guess this is white. This is normally an effect you see in green, but dubiously white. I think this would be definitely white if it does for the first time each turn, but because it doesn't... Dark and Stormy Night. XX blue. Choose any number. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. Draw X card, then discard a card. Okay. Create a tapped X blue creature token with flying. This is cool. I mean, if you're paying this for 2 and you manage to hit a spell, counter spell for 2, draw 2 cards, discard a card. Make a 2/2. Seems reasonable, but if you foretell it, you know, you can just get silly with it. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, if you foretell it and you're spending 5 mana, 6 mana on it, then stuff gets real silly. This is potentially playable in a control deck, but it's kind of bad early. Because if you pay this for X's 1, yeah, I think it's still good even for X's 1. Honestly. Oh, the Omen Wing. Yay. A 2-mana Planeswalker. As long as it's your turn, it's a 2/1 with flying and indestructible. That's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him. Okay. Surveil X, where X is the number of creatures that attack this turn. Okay, so you do this second main after he swung. Return target non-land permanent to its owner hand draw. This card's a little too good, I think. I think surveilling that much is a lot, and being able to just cash this in to bounce something problematic, especially just because it gets bigger every turn, and it's just a 2/1 that has indestructible, so you can't kill it with like a normal, like you can't kill it blocking. You basically have to either allocate a bolt or, you know, I guess swing at it, which isn't that bad, but I don't know. This, I mean, we've seen Paul do a lot at 2 mana. We really just don't need more 2-mana Planeswalkers, hot take. And this is just a really on-rate creature with way too much upside, in my humble opinion. Belmord Bloodstained Count. It has a 2/1 with flying for 1 mana. Okay, it can't block. You can create a bat. Activate only your players. Gain or life lost this turn. This card's really good, like a mid-range card. A 1 mana 2/1 flyer. I don't think that's okay, personally. Horse of Famine. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player didn't cast a spell this turn, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Okay, nice. When Horseman of Famine enters or attacks, each player discards a card. If one or more land cards were discarded this way, Horseman gains Death Touch until end of turn. Okay, this is cool. I like this because it makes your opponent discard cards and is like a kind of weird control-y piece. If your opponent doesn't have cards, then they start losing life. Very cool. Okay. Interesting. Bloodfall deals 8 damage to divided as you choose among up to 8 targets. If you spend exactly red for this spell's mana payment, it deals 8 damage to each of those targets instead. Wow. Oop. Let me do some research here. Sort toughness. Yeah, I don't know. Toughness greater than 8. Let's see. So you're not casting that. Probably not casting that. Maybe this? Probably not. This is possible. This is also possible. Probably not. I'm just seeing if there's any easy ways to break this. I think it being so expensive makes it like kind of reasonable, I guess. But I don't know. I really don't like it in like a reanimator deck. I think that that's scary. Yeah. Definitely scary. Whatever. It's probably, I don't know. I don't like it. It might see play. If it does see play, it'll not be fun. If it doesn't see play, it'll be unplayable, probably. Horseman of War. If a creature would enter under your control during combat on your turn, that creature enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. Okay. When it enters or attacks something, but a creature card with mana with 2 less from your graveyard onto the battlefield. If you do so, draw a card. Sacrifice that creature at the beginning of the next end step. Okay. I mean, that's fun. You get to loot creatures, but not really loot them. You kind of throw them at your opponent. Yeah. Guinevere the Listener. Wow. If my title was the Listener, I'd be upset. That's not fair. I do more than listen. Yeah, I'm empathetic, but you know what? I'm more than that. I've got a person behind just my ears, you bastard. Isn't it? Well, to be fair, I actually suck at listening, so I doubt I would ever get that title. You talk about something that's like not Warhammer or custom Magic specific. You talk about canon Magic too long, I'm snoozing. Which is, you gotta be so specific to keep me engaged. Anyways, an additional cost to cast a spell, return any number of creatures you control to their owner's hand. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature returned this way. Wow. Whenever it attacks, if a creature entering causes a triggered ability from a permanent you control to trigger this turn, it triggers an additional time. I think that, technically that's green? I don't know. This is pretty funny. You just, like... This is really dumb. You're like, a bunch of free creatures. Hold on. I gotta do this again. Instigator. Mana value 0. 0. Type. Creature. Okay, how do I not? Cost. What? Mana 0. Nope. I'll find it. Don't worry. I'm just doing this for myself. This is not getting cut out. This is all unedited. And you have to deal with that. Where are the actual... I guess there's only one, right? That I can think of. Which would be... No, I'm so sorry, y'all. Where? I mean, is there literally only one? I mean, if you get 4 Silent Wanderers, you'll be real happy. But besides that, yeah, I guess that's it. The Silent Wanderer, nothing else. Yeah. Well, that's funny with 4 Silent Wanderers, but that's like... That's living the dream, I guess. If you can cheapen this in a reasonable way, it's pretty funny. But I don't think this is going to be like... I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe there's some creatures that really want to go back to your hand. Horseman of Pestilence. Whenever a creature dies, you gain 2 life. If you control that creature, draw a card. Okay. Whenever Horseman of Pestilence enters or attacks, put 2 -1/- counters on up to 1 target creature with power less than Horseman of Pestilence's power. So it only hits small creatures. I guess that's green. Asmund's Absolution. Choose a non-land permanent you control, then sacrifice the rest. Each opponent sacrifices X non-land permanents, where X is the number of permanents sacrificed this way. If you chose a legendary permanent this way, you gain 5 life. Sure, that's fine. It's a board wipe in, board wipe-ish colors. Double Strike Trample. When it arises, you may put an equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to him. Now this is where you put that red-white enchantment earlier and swing for 33. Hell yeah. Celestine Wildfire. Cast an elf or dwarf, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. Whenever you cast your 3rd spell each turn, 3rd spell, do damage to any target. If you control a dwarf, it deals +2/+2. And if you control another elf, you get 2 life. Wow. Korkok Awakened. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value 4 or greater from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter. Only big guys. You can't get little guys back. It gets high toughness until end of turn. Sure. Corpus Drawn to Death. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Put 2 loyalty counters on Corpus. Activate only as a sorcery only once each turn. Starts at 5, and you can -2 to sacrifice a creature and make a 4/4 red horror creature token with menace. Or make it 2/2 zombie. Or you can search your library for 2 non-Corpus cards and reveal them. Put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle. Wow. Hendrik, the Fleeting Knight. This card, fine. 5 mana. I mean, making 4/4 seems annoying, but again, it's 5 mana. You've probably earned it at that point. Hendrik, the Fleeting Knight. Flash, Flying Vigilance. When it enters, exile target spell for as long as that card remains exiled. Its owner may play it without paying its mana cost. Huh. Spells players cast from anywhere other than their hands cost X more to cast, where X is the number of creatures with flying you control. So, you can cast it for free, but not really. You're going to have to pay another 5 to cast it. Lysine Shrewd Smuggler. When you cast a card from anywhere other than your hand, spells you cast anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target pirate or rogue you control gets +X/+0 and gains haste until end of turn, where X is the number of non-creature spells you've cast this turn. That creature can't be blocked this turn. That's very good. I'm gonna... Hold on. I should just leave it open. Honestly. Let me check something real quick. Okay. Wanted to make sure nothing embarrassing showed up on my search history. You guys, I don't want to make people think I'm evil or I don't know. It's not like people would think I'm evil, but it'd just be like, ha 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 ha, look at what came up on your thing. Shrewd Smuggler? Hold on. ATUMN. Fae. It's just a fairy. Boo, I wanted to be a pirate or a rogue. What the fuck? Well, dreams ruined. Out the window. Demolished. Obliterated. Ristia. Blade Bound. Beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 life if you do target creature seeks secrets or valors. Whenever you feel an oath, each opponent sacrifices a non-land permanent. I mean, if oaths are a thing, that'll be there. Probably not, though. Vigilance. Whenever Asmund attacks, choose up to 1 of each target dwarf, elf, and human. Those creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn. Fair enough. When you attack with 1 of each, When you attack with at least one of each elf, dwarf, and human, exile up to one target non-land permanent. Do this only once. Okay, sure. That's fine. I think, yeah. Okay. Sophia, Haunted by Fortune. Wow. She's back from her previous edition. Good lord. When it enters, if it wasn't cast from your hand, it gains lifelink and haste until end of turn. Lifelink seems a little bit fucking much. Whenever Sophia deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library face down and look at it. It becomes foretold. Its foretell cost is pay life equal to this card's mana value. Yeah. So if I foretell this, turn 3, hit you with a 3/4 with haste and lifelink, and then I exiled Big Mix Stupid Big, and now I pay 7 life and I get your best spell. Or I'm against burn and I get a lightning bolt for free. Or card seems potentially good, like its predecessor. Very strong. Stirring of the Run. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may return target non-token creature you control with a different name to its owner's hand. If you do, copy that spell. Target non-token creature you control. Okay, so I can bounce a creature to a hand to copy a creature spell. Okay, that's chill. You're on Undying Usurper. Oh, the guy we've been hearing about. Flying Death Touch. When it enters or attacks, target opponent may pay 3 life. If that player doesn't, they choose a non-land permanent that they control. Tap that permanent. You gain control of it. Sure, I'm stealing your shit. Euron's Caster's Empty Throne. As long as you control exactly one legendary creature, that creature has hexproof and indestructible. Tap. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. You gain 2 life. If the exiled card was legendary, draw a card. This is probably pretty decent in Commander, but probably not good anywhere else. I like a lot of these cards. There were a handful of cards that were scary. Some of these I worry about their power level, but I feel like there are a normal amount of powerful cards in this set. Although I really, really don't like Siphon. I think Siphon's play patterns are whack as hell and probably work well and they're limited, but I think building a deck around it and constructed, and there are a lot of really good Siphon things. Like even this, we don't want another lightning bolt. We don't need another lightning bolt. We have so many. Can't you just be happy? I mean, cards like this are cool. So for me, this set has a lot of real highs and a lot of low lows. I love like a lot of the cards in the white-blue archetype. They're just kind of like the exact kind of cards that I love. So I'm going to be biased, believe it or not. Biased voter? Never happened before. But yeah, just like a few concerning cards. I mean, we also don't need another Stifle. Well, I guess it's non-creature spell. I guess that's different. I'll shut up. This card's actually fine. I changed my mind. This card's really cool. Love this. There's a lot of good cards, a lot of potentially powerful cards. I worry about this card a little bit, but I mean, it's in a deck that I like, so that's cool. This card's fine. A lot of the concerning cards are really like uncommon commons, though. Rarity, I think I have a ton of issues. I don't like this card. Love this card. So there's a lot of mixed feelings that I have. I just don't understand cards like this. I don't really get the Siphon mechanic. I don't know why you need to enter with a -1/-1 counter. You're already paying above rate for a copy. I guess because you can pay 1 mana for it, but like theoretically, this card's cool. I love this card. So a lot of cards I like, a lot of cards I don't like, and sort of more than other sets where I felt medium to negative on a lot of cards. That's not to say there's not cards that I like, but This set feels very interesting to me. There's a lot of really cool designs, a lot of very interesting, So, yeah, it was fun looking through this set. It was definitely an emotional journey, to say the least. I do like where the commons are at, though. I feel like there's not a lot of it's problematic though, because you just pay the Mirage cost for free, counter a spell. But I think that's a problem of it being a free spell. But also, I mean, you just have like 1 mana big toughness creatures, and potentially go crazy. But I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of good cards here. A lot of very fun cards. Yeah, I just don't personally like Siphon. I think it works well in the limited. I think it's a really cool limited mechanic, but I think it's potentially questionable and constructed. And I sound like a fucking repeating horn. And this video is already 2 hours long, so I'm gonna stop here. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to vote. Vote. And yeah, let me know if you want me to get to your set later. Just like comment something or message me on Discord. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna probably do Innistrad next. Because that card I have a lot of feelings about that set, and we're gonna get into that, and it'll be fun. So, thank you all so much for watching. Yeah. Also, I want to briefly touch on the flavor. It's very easy to keep these sets to like high fantasy, but it felt relatively consistent. A lot of like the knights felt like had at least a similar vibe, had similar armor. It's not like you're seeing radically different things here. Just I think the flavor here is done well. No, I said I was gonna go, but yeah, that was my last thought. I like the flavor, a tad generic, but I'm a hypocrite. My flavor is a little bit generic on Dioram, so there's nothing wrong with generic. A lot of pretty art. There were a few, maybe like 1 or 2 cards that stood out to me, but yeah, this stuff is good. All right, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for making this set. It's always a great thing to watch, Matt. So, catch you all in the next video. It will come out eventually.